Fae and Alchemy Episode 8, or Quicksilver 2, Return of the Scorpion King.
Or Quicksilver 2, Good Girl.
Or Quicksilver 2, My Cabbages!
Or What Does It All Mean?
I put you at the end because I thought it was funny that yours didn't match ours.
Thank you.
Is that the quote that I always say?
Yeah.
Do you know what it's from?
Nope. It's from John and that Between Pages and Friends podcast.
All right,
It's from
sweet.
the Teamer Sand guy. Welcome back to Between Pages and Friends, a book club podcast hosted by Con and Lauren, two besties who read a lot of books, and John and Kyle, their gamer-turned-reader husbands who've agreed to read with them. I'm Con.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm John. Today, we're covering chapters 7 through 16 in Brimstone by Callie Hart, book 2 in the Fae and Alchemy series. This is a book club podcast, and all four of us are first-time readers on this book, which means there will be no spoilers for anything beyond chapter 16 today. That's all we've read.
And because that's all we've read, please do not put Brimstone spoilers in the comments. And most importantly, our DMs. We will not be finishing Brimstone until January, so we ask that you refrain from sending us anything about the book until we've had a chance to enjoy our first read spoiler-free.
In the meantime, if you'd like a safe place to discuss with us and other listeners, join our Patreon. All Patreon tiers will grant you access to our community Discord with dedicated chats to discuss each podcast episode with or without spoilers. Our $5 Patreon tier also includes all of our live events, monthly book club, reading challenges, and the full archive of our past content. For $10 a month, you'll also receive early access to ad-free episodes, merch discounts, voting privileges, an exclusive hangout space, and more.
Is that a question?
We would also love to meet you in person on April 25th. We will be attending a Sorcerer's Affair at the Bergmont Winery in Bucyrus, Kansas. It'll be a truly magical evening by Bookish Lore Events with a VIP experience hosted by yours truly and some other amazing content creators. Tickets are limited, so use code FRIENDS15 for $15 off your tickets now at bookishloreeventskc.com.
And finally, whether you're a longtime listener or brand new here, please take a moment to help spread the word. Writing a quick review on Apple Podcasts or Audible helps support our show. It's free, it means the world to us, and you might just hear your name in a future shout-out. Here's a recent 5-star review on Apple Podcasts from our new bestie, Moomski. I can't stop laughing. I recently discovered this podcast, and I'm so happy that I did. It feels as if I'm with a group of friends reviewing our favorite books and characters. The conversations are good and so funny. I'm seriously laughing the whole time. This is my favorite podcast. She did like the double heart. Yeah.
Aww,
Thanks, Moomski.
Thanks,
Thanks, geese.
Thanks, Moomskis.
And now it's time to return to Con's Declassified Fantasy Pronunciation Guide. This is the part of the show where we highlight all the new names and places mentioned in this chapter section. I am referencing the audiobook narrated by Stella Bloom and Anthony Palmini, as well as the written pronunciation guide in the front of the book. In places this week, first of all, a quick correction to a definition from last week. When I mentioned the cogs in episode 1, I thought that these were the obsidian walls that guarded the small city at the foot of Amontreath, but the cogs are actually the circular interlocking neighborhoods of Sanisroth outside of Amontreath. So same location, but they're neighborhoods and not walls. Then we have Nevercross, the capital of the Balkidder clan lands and the heart of everything the witches do there: schooling, healing, keeping histories, protecting their people. The Fool's Paradise is the Sanisrothian tavern Lorith took Ceres to that Tal apparently owns. And then we have a mention of the Shallow Mountains and the Brigand's Bank. In characters, we have Morel, Renfus's twin sister, who died during the Battle of the Agen Gate. We met her on page in the Quicksilver bonus chapters, but this is the first time she's been mentioned in the published story. Eric is Carrion's business partner in Zilvarin. Vorath Shaw is the merchant and vault breaker from Zilvarin. Guru, the blood-drinking shadow cat in the Amontreath library. And then demons that Kingfisher named in chapter 15 were Erengoth, Noltik, Bresheth, and Morthil. And then Joshin, Lord of the Desert, King of the Dark Dream, aka Scorpions? At the Fool's Paradise, we meet Aragon, the barkeep, Lore, the mystery person that Tal brought with him, Antarin, one of the High Blood patrons, and Cole, Antarin's brother. And then we finally see Foley at the end of this section, an original member of the Lupoprolia, also first introduced in the Quicksilver bonus chapters. Welcome to the published story, buddy. And on page sort of, we meet Edina, Kingfisher's mother. Absolutely insane. Then in world building, all I have for you is the Guild, assuming this is the leadership of the witches in the Balkidder clanlands, and Stargazers, animated paper birds folded to represent one of Evelia's rare breeds, aka parchment larks. Okay, pronunciation class dismissed. John, please tell the lovely people what actually happened in this chapter section.
You got it, Toots. Chapter 7. Sarah's point of view. Sarah and Fisher finally alone, and Fisher feeling bad about the whole marriage thing, but he explains that a Fae wedding is sacred because they give each other their true names, and he's never known his, apparently. But then she tells him she loves him, and not only are all bets off, but so are all their clothes in Brimstone's debut segment of Emoji Erotica. Yay! I'll try to be brief, because they certainly were not. Emoji Erotica. All right. Kissy blushing face. Fire. Like the kitchen egg timer. Parentheses, airplane and potato in parentheses. Duck. Camera flash. The big eyes, like the little side eye, big eyes. Rock. Thought bubble. Black circle. Chess pawn. Finger pointing down. Question mark. Guy kneeling. Parentheses, paper and airplane in parentheses. If you know, you know. One finger, two fingers. Knife, stop sign, tooth, lip bite, wave, horse. Question mark, black square, like the thunder cloud. It's got like the rain and the lightning coming out. Ice cream, paintbrush, ruler, rooster, a tooth, sword, parentheses, house, and like a faucet in parentheses, doctor, and a knife in parentheses, butterfly, apple, finger pointing like this way, and a boxing glove. And that is the debut segment of Brimstone Emoji Erotica.
Wow.
Emoji Erotica. Thank you.
You got creative with some new
Thank
emojis
you.
this time.
I had to get a little creative with a few of them, to make it interesting.
I really don't know what the potato is.
That's a.
I at least appreciate that there was a thought process behind it.
There's always a thought process behind it. Usually much more than you might want.
That's what makes Emoji Erotica our favorite.
It is. That's what makes it good. There's some deep thought behind it. All right.
Something's deep.
So she said.
What?
Oh.
Something's deep. And if I could douse myself with buckets of water, I legitimately would. But unfortunately, my current location does not allow for such a thing. Chapter 8, Fisher point of view here, reminiscing on how good he has it, and also admits to Rymphus that he in love. They argue about Tal some more, getting some info about how Tal almost became a member of the Lupoprolia, but chose a different direction. Very interesting. As they were speaking, they were heading to Erin's camps. Their conversation abruptly halted as they come upon the encampment in ruins. A black crater where it once stood, once home to 11,000 warriors. The feeders they had killed are still strapped to the tree, but they had almost like become one with the tree. Blackened roots snaking out across the ground, oozing black liquid like blood, contaminating everything it touched. Chapter 9, Sarah's point of view. Sarah goes to visit Everlane, Onyx snoring soundly at her feet. She talks to Lane for a moment only to be interrupted by the Quicksilver. Obviously confused, Saris tracks the source to Everlane's earrings. She goes to touch one of them and it liquefies, a drop landing on Lane's shoulder, making her eyes fly open, turning white. A voice speaks, but not Lane's, and Saris begins her conversation with Edina, Kingfisher's mom. Edina tells her that she must go to the library and find a thick blue book with a butterfly hidden among the stars, and that Sarah should not tell Fisher about it. Edina also questions why Saris hasn't sealed her runes. Saris asks why, but Edina is gone before she can get an answer, Fisher rushing into the room. Chapter 10, Sarah's point of view. back in the library at Kalish with Fisher, Carrion, Telena, Maynir, and Ishabal. Saris tells Fisher what happened as they try and figure out how they could possibly seal her runes. We get some info from Ishabal about a library in the catacombs at Nevercross, but basically there's no way they're getting access to it, which of course means that they will probably eventually somehow gain access to it. Ren and Lorith burst in with news of the remainder of the Iran warriors. The rot had infected them somehow, quote unquote, and tore through the camp. Wherever the rot lies, it spreads and multiplies, and they just can't find a way to stop it. At this point, with permission from Saris, Fisher begins to tell them all about Saris's little meeting with Zareth and of his own with Baal and Mithin. Ishabal is like beside herself, having believed Avalian gods to be only a myth. Then we get a random tangent about Carrion's age and that he's technically younger than the Avalian heir should be, but something must have happened when Fenrir brought him through the Quicksilver. I don't know, man. The conversation leads them to the conclusion that they will be needing a lot more silver and come up with a plan for Carrion to escort Fisher back to Silvarin to retrieve it. How fun. Chapter 11, Saris POV. We start with Lorith and Saris training. Saris clearly preoccupied with her mate quickly leaving for Silvarin, and everyone else with their own plans around Avalia. They end up heading to a tavern in Sanisroth, where Lorith tells her what happened to Morel along the way. The barkeep recognizes Lorith and won't let some long-standing debt go, so naturally some bouncers come knocking, but Lorith does the knocking. Right as Tal shows up with someone next to him, but the figure promptly leaves when Tal notices the two of them. Apparently Tal owns the place as well. He forgives the debt and then grabs Saris for a little stroll and chat. Chapter 12, Saris' point of view. They head to an office where Saris's runes start to burn again. Tal noticing because of their bond, and she basically opens up and tells him everything about Everlane, Adina, even about the book. Tal has a lot of follow-up questions and seems perturbed because a shade, a person's soul that remains, isn't capable of thought, which means the entity was Adina, trapped or has somehow remained since her death. Then he explains that because of how her runes are reacting, she could have some elemental fire magic, also some healing abilities. Tal admits that Saris is only the second person that he has sired, but that he doesn't want that to affect her ruling as queen with the Lords of Midnight. So he wants to disavow her to sever their bond. She's like, yeah, that's cool, and we can still be friends, and I want you as my right-hand manservant. I mean, just right-hand man for advisory purposes, definitely nothing else. Chapter 13, Kingfisher, and we return to Silvarin, friends, the steamy, double-sunned-up city in the desert, ripe with opportunity and bodily fluids. They come out of the Quicksilver pool to raining arrows, but eventually make it out the door, out a window, and crashing down into the bustling city. They head for the silver first, Fisher thinking they'll be breaking into Madra's treasury as they head in a different direction. Carrion explains that he tried for years to get into Madra's treasury. No one's ever broken into it, so the next best thing is somewhere called the Brigands Bank, of which Carrion is the owner. Well, part owner. The other guy has a key that they need to get into it. They end up waiting in a bar for a middleman of sorts to find his estranged business partner and this other key, and wouldn't you know it, the middleman is none other than Vorath Shah. Chapter 14, Sarah's point of view. Tal is leading Saris to the Amontreath library. We learn via Hawk Messenger of Lorith's that more soldiers are dying and more land is being contaminated by the rot. They finally make it and they are greeted by the charming Algat. We get a lovely greeting and some delightful banter from Saris and the Old Witch, and despite what Saris has been told about Belicon destroying all Alchemiran books, Belicon never stepped foot here, and the ones at Amontreath have been preserved. We meet Guru, a shadow-turned-cat, black with red eyes, a dark parallel to Onyx. Her price is a few drops of blood for a book, the cat lapping it up in its milk. Among her other talents, we find out that Algat can read thoughts, and Saris gives Algat a personal edict. She goes off to find the book when Saris is attacked, taken by surprise, but quickly recovering, getting a stab in from the dagger that Fisher had given her. The vampire clearly recognizes the dagger, but notices that it has changed. Something's different, as she demands why he is there. But before another word, her runes light up and starts to make things in front of her disappear as she forms a 20-foot hole in the side of the fortress. What? Chapter 15, Kingfisher point of view. Vorath tries to run, but they catch him, and after some persuasion, agrees to help them get into the vault that they are looking for. Fisher is on guard. He notices some small things about Vorath that he keeps to himself, still wary of the character. Vorath leads them through the city to a magnetic door that Carrion is able to open, and they climb some stairs inside of a bell tower. They use vials of what seems to be concentrated even light that Vorath gave them, which is interesting as they pass a dead Fae on the way up. They reach the top, and Vorath beckons them into the main chamber, but Fisher knows something is off. He warns Carrion, but not before Vorath grabs him and shoves him into the room. Carrion falls on his hands and knees and gets stuck in what Fisher notices is a demon's trap. And although typically used to catch demons, over time, whatever creature made this warped it into basically a spider web to trap things to eat. All the while, they have noticed a hum growing louder and louder, and as Fisher calls on his magic to produce a replica of Nimmerel into his hands, Carrion asks what the sound is, and Fisher replies, "Scorpions, Carrion. That's a million effing scorpions." Chapter 16, Sarah's point of view. Algat is beside herself when she sees the giant hole in the castle. Her magic did a number on her runes this time around, split fingers and bleeding cracks on her hands, the runes burning like brands, healing but a lot slower than before. She has the vampire tied up, her plan to question him before deciding what to do with him. For some reason, he thinks that something has happened to Kingfisher, that he wouldn't have given up the dagger without a fight. This is all like throwing Ceres for a loop. She tries to explain what she is when he notices what I assume are the god bindings all over Ceres, both he and Algat showing their surprise. She asks how he was able to attack her based on her edict, when a voice answers because he is not bound by it. He has not sworn fealty to this court. The stranger starts to get choked up as Lorith comes out of the shadows and greets him. "Hello, Foley."
What?
What?
Ah. Well, thanks, John. This was an insane chapter section, so let's get on into it. Chapter 7.
Yes. First note. Fisher, about his true name, more details about that. He says, "I don't know it. I've never known it. We usually receive our true name on our 14th birthdays. And my mother, well, she died before I turned 14, and my father was already gone. So, I don't know. I guess this is a pretty good logical explanation. I just wasn't expecting it. I don't know."
I think I was really not expecting it because in the bonus chapters with Morel, and he like has that interaction with her literally in the dragon, and Morel tells him that Adina says, "Don't share your real name." So it makes it seem like he knows his name.
Right.
Or why would we need to know that?
Yeah, why would his mom
Say that?
feel the need to tell him that?
Yeah.
Unless it's one of those things where you've known your real name all along.
It's Bill. You just named your horse then.
We named your horse after you.
It's going to be Simon.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh, that would be wild. I would hate that too, I think.
That would be hilarious.
I mean, obviously, Callie writing that line in the bonus chapter freaked us all out to be like, "Oh my gosh, Kingfisher isn't his real name." So like it was that, but in the book itself, I don't know why Adina would say that. But I also wonder if we do meet Finran, then does that mean we will get his real name there?
Right.
Or is this another reason to meet Finran? Not that we, I guess, needed another reason, but
I think either way, Adina knows that he'll find out, like, or she left it somewhere for him or something, because she's still getting information to people.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. But Kingfisher clenches his jaw here. So, drinkies. Early in the
Starting
episode.
off.
Ceres makes a remark here about the runes on her hands. She says, "The marks on my hands didn't move underneath my skin the way his did sometimes," speaking of Fisher. "They were locked in place, the lines beautiful and intricate." And my question was, didn't they move before? Didn't she notice? Hasn't she noted that they have
Kingfisher
moved?
onto her?
That was the bird. That
Was
was
it
like
like
the
the
bird
line?
tattoo.
Does she also
Well,
got
that, yeah.
No, because I thought she, looking at him at some point, or maybe multiple instances in Quicksilver, she noticed that his tattoos were moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Are
hers...
she's referencing different tattoos?
No,
or
his
just the
move,
ones on
but
hers
hers don't move, right?
Yeah.
The marks on my hands didn't move, so Ceres's don't.
Ah,
Kingfishers do.
Oh, I must have misread that. Okay. Yeah.
But not, I don't think all of his move. I think there's like some that do and some that don't. Like, I don't think the god bindings have ever moved.
Yeah, I think it's mostly like the ones around his neck that she says she's mentioned. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Thanks, squad.
Well, Kingfisher and Ceres become a little friendly here in chapter 7.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. And Ceres, like, sets up this cool, like, I don't know, sound shield, I guess. around them during this moment, like a bubble, and it holds obviously the sound, but also her scent, all the things that we learn. And Kingfisher says, that's a neat trick, little Osha, an affinity to small magic, perhaps. I wonder how many others you have up your sleeve. And I'm just super excited to see Saris with magic, other than obviously just talking to the Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know as alchemist, she's going to have other cool powers, but I wonder if she'll have stuff now that she's Fae, or if it's different because she's vampire, or what it is. Even Tal later mentions some of the maybe magics that she has, but I'm just excited to explore that with her because really we don't know much about her magic from Quicksilver. We get very, very little of that. So I hope we get a lot more.
Ooh, and then I have a double candle watch here. So Kingfisher's talking about what Saris used to smell like, and he says, before you smelled like fresh crushed leaves and the mountain air before a cold snap, a subtle hint of spices and citrus and fire smoke. Now those scents are amplified 1,000-fold. You smell like excitement. You smell like laughter and peace and love. And she says, those things have sense, do they? Our original candle watch that happened, it started in Throne of Glass, and it was always like, we were talking about how everybody always smelled like home, and we were always joking about that, so this was funny to me. She's like, does that have a smell?
Laughter and peace and love.
You smell like a concept.
Aw.
Wow.
So
Wow,
sweet.
no one's ever said that before.
And then in this kind of same paragraph, when he's talking about this, he says, memories and scents have always been heavily interlinked for me. I smell something and I immediately experience the association. And I thought that will certainly come into play later, I'm sure.
I'm also wondering if this had something to do with his like sudden remembrance of Rurik
yeah.
Dianthus later. But I think I have more thoughts on that when we get there.
I had also highlighted this for a different reason, though, where I was like, that doesn't make you special at all. Like, scent is the most heavily connected for memory for every living thing that has a sense of smell, but it's written like a grand reveal. It's just like basic biology. And it came off to me like as a very like pick-me boy thing to say, like, memories and scents are very interlinked for me. It makes me special.
Kyle.
For me
my eyes.
personally.
I feel like you just invented a new trope.
Well, there's pick-me girls, so there's obviously pick-me boys. It's not
all right.
exclusive
Yeah,
to...
that's true.
I don't know. It gives the same vibes as like people who would say like, oh yeah, I do have brown eyes, but if I've been out in the sun for a while, they turn light hazel. I'm like, no, they don't. The sun's just lighting up your eyes. Like, your eyes don't change color. Anyway.
Boy.
Yeah. Switching gears, my next note.
I was like, how's he gonna, yeah.
Yeah, it took me a second to come up with I was like, what's the phrase? So in the scene here, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
My nipples stood proud. Well, not my nipples, but Sarah, this is coming from Sarah's point of view.
While you were reading?
She says, or she, experiences, my nipples stood proud, but I wrote, Tin Hut. That's the first thing that came to mind.
I was imagining like a superhero pose. Like a
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Power
That's good
stance,
too.
you
No, that's
know?
really
Yes.
good. I like that. Stood proud. Yep. Either one of those. Very good.
And then I highlighted Kingfisher saying, come now, Osha. Where else would an acolyte kneel to worship but at the altar of his god? And I wrote, God's watch, I guess?
Maybe.
And then he does the unthinkable. It writes, he stopped. And my note here was just, ha ha ha. I just thought it was funny. That
Savage.
he's playing her a little bit here.
Yeah, he is. Well, he continues that activity. And finally, they, get there and he says, good girl. I kick Muffy.
I love that you wrote kicks feet.
I know. I'm here for a good girl all the time. Big fan. And then, in response to that, she literally passes out. Wow, what an experience.
Great work, sir.
Yes.
Well done.
10 hut salute.
Possibly
Whatever.
related to that I've included here strictly for world building purposes is this quote that says, Fisher kicked out of his pants and tossed them onto the floor, then stacked his hands one on top of the other and wrapped them both around his straining length.
That's impressive.
Just some important, character details here that I just didn't, can't just leave those out of the.
I'm sure it will have a lot to do with the story.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
needs
she
to be
just passed
mentioned.
out. This is why. Here's your explanation of chapter 7. You're welcome.
Oh, that's so funny. John's face right now. It's important. Actually, what happened here was I was texting Con and I was like, I have so many notes from chapter 7 and I don't want to be the only one talking about all of their activities other than John's nipple comment. And she was like, okay, I'll say this one and this one too, so it's not just you.
It's
So
me
thanks,
and
Con.
you, Lauren, rolling through the spicy scene.
Thanks,
Oh,
Con.
gosh.
You're a good friend. Okay, well, she does casually mention here in the middle of all this activity too, that the oath that Kingfisher had bound her to back in book 1 was broken when she died back in Giltheray. So I don't know that we knew that before. Maybe we did, or maybe we just assumed it was, but I just felt like it was important to just say, noted,
note.
it is officially gone.
Yeah. And then I just had highlighted the last line of the chapter and wrote, what a way to start the episode. Am I right?
I know, the mods, they
Strong.
really set us up.
They did.
Yeah.
I thought something
Long
terrible
and
was going to
strong.
happen in chapter 7.
I know, right?
I mean, she did pass out, so
She did.
there was,
yeah.
And takes us into chapter 8. Make your peace. Kingfisher's point of view here. And this is the last line of the first section. It says, I stretched, enjoying the bright scent of her that still clung to the pillows and the sheets for a second. And then I got out of bed and went to hunt down some food. And I wrote, oh, that was so wholesome. Shame if something were to ruin it.
dot.
Dot, dot, dot.
Well, Kingfisher and Renfis are talking, and Kingfisher says, as always, the mention of my half-sister made my friend's back straighten a little. As always, I didn't mention his reaction. And I mentioned in the last episode that I was surprised Kingfisher hadn't mentioned anything to Renfis about this yet. And so maybe this is a little answer to it. Like, Kingfisher knows, but he's not trying to, I don't know. Like, Renfis is going through it emotionally because of Everlane, so maybe he's backing off of that or something. But for how much crap he's getting for Saris, I'm just really surprised that he's not, I guess, dishing it back. But he's being kind.
True. And then Renfis says to Kingfisher, I've never met another warrior with such a sweet tooth. It's a miracle you even have any teeth left in that head of yours. And I wrote, so Kingfisher is John.
Yeah.
Just awkwardly smiling
Oh.
at the camera.
Oh, now he's
we're
winking at
getting
you.
Winks. Wow.
No, you are getting winks.
I'm getting
Think about
winks.
think about your notes from the last
oh,
chapter.
you're right. Already forgot.
Oh, that's funny.
It continues. Ren hit me squarely in the arm so hard that I dropped the last of my custard tart in the mud. I considered it morosely for a second before I carried on walking. R.I.P. Tasty pastry. A moment of silence, please.
Tasty pastry.
Yes, I also highlighted this saying it would not end a friendship, but things would be pretty rough for a while. Would not move on.
And I also highlighted this one and I wrote, I could have dropped my croissant. Oh, old vine. Stop.
I love that so much. She put a gif of it in here and I just keep watching it. Oh. So Renfis says, are sheep herders gossip mongers because of something that Fisher said? And Fisher said, yes, you'd be surprised by the scandalous things bored sheep herders are privy to, especially the ones in the foothills of the shallow mountains. And I wrote, 1, okay, so we're totally going there. And 2, in the shallow
Mountains.
mountains.
Nice. That was beautiful.
I almost did that in the pronunciation guide, but I didn't want to confuse anyone
Sure.
and make you think that that's how you have to say it every time. But now maybe I should do that because that would be fun.
If we actually go there, the whole episode, we have to say it like that.
That will be my title for that episode.
Nice.
It'd be funny if they had like a little, just a cutaway to the sheep herders gossiping, and it's just basic stuff like, oh, you hear about Sally? Yeah. That's it.
Wow.
And my next note here was when Kingfisher was getting a little argumentative with Ren and says, F off, Ren, why don't we talk about your little outburst over Tal instead, huh? And I just wrote, challenge, try to have a friendly conversation with Kingfisher, difficulty impossible. Because this guy is just pulling anything out of the bag anytime
Poor
he can
Renvis.
to rag on Ren.
Yeah. Is kind to him about Everlane. Won't let
Yeah.
this other thing down.
True. Good point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
To be fair, though, I mean, I guess this is post-custard, so he's in a foul mood.
True.
Good point.
They continue their conversation talking about Tal. Ren says, but he should never have found himself in that position in the first place, should he? And this was what it all boiled down to. The night when Taladeus should have joined our brotherhood and foolishly chose death instead. And I just noted that this is when we find out that he was almost a member of the Lupoprolia. So this was just kind of like a surprising revelation to read.
Yeah.
Well, and
And
there's
there's-
Like, what
chose to be a
happened?
vampire.
Right.
It wasn't like Foley where he got in a bad situation or whatever.
I have to think that how this was worded, it wasn't a case of like Foley where Taladeus was like dying or something.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Right.
you know, but
Same.
maybe, I don't know.
Well, and the fact that it's the same, he said the night when Taladeus should have joined our brotherhood. Would that have been the same night as the Ajin Gate?
No, because he would have had to already be a vampire in order to change fully.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Weird.
So very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. My next note was just that I feel like I need to go back and reread the end of Quicksilver again before I can wrap my head around the fact that this rot is now in their actual realm and like infecting everything. Because I remember the conversation about the rot on the tree in the realm of the gods, but I just did not connect that to it happening like before their eyes and being like impossible to stop.
Yeah, I was the exact same. And I was like, my note on the first time they mentioned the rot, and I was like, the what? And then it was later
Yeah,
whenever
same.
she's like explaining her interaction with Zareth to the rest of them in the library. I was like, oh, okay. I
Yeah.
think I'm with it. I just didn't realize it was like an immediate right now issue. I
Yeah.
guess.
Right.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, we learned that like through those bodies, I guess, of those feeders being left on the tree, that it contaminated everything, contaminated the ground, said where the black ooze spread, rot and decay followed after it. And then like, I thought that the entire camp was gone. Like that they had either turned into feeders or were dead
Yeah.
or something, or I don't know. I'm glad we find out later they're not. But like at that moment, I was like, "Oh my God, everyone's dead! Is
Yeah.
Danby gone? Like, what's happening?"
Danby.
Like, I'm glad they're not, but it was wild.
Well,
Connor, we like Danby.
do we?
I do. John does. Kyle does.
Oh no.
Carry
I'm
on.
not there yet.
Carrion
No.
does. Ayo.
Not confirmed.
To be fair,
Danya
Carrion
likes
everyone,
Danya.
So, yeah.
If you truly loved Carrion, you would want to see him happy, no matter who it was with. So
He would be happy with literally anyone, though.
At his
Who would he be
happiest.
happy
I'm just
with?
saying.
Maybe
He's
he's
gonna
hiding
rock his
pain and
world.
trauma and stuff
Just
behind sex. And now he needs an actual person, a partner.
Danny's gonna come
Who's
up to you
also
like,
traumatized.
even though you're experienced.
find
have
happiness
you ever
together.
tried this one?
That's a good one, Kyle.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Okay, that takes us to chapter 9. This is called Hidden. It is a Sarah's POV. And we finally see Everlane on page. This is what I've been waiting for. And I was like, okay, maybe we'll get the feel from like how she is and whatever. And she doesn't actually talk or do anything. So I feel like it's still a big mystery out on her, other than the descriptions of how she looks in the moment, saying that like along her jawline, there's fine black tendrils of poison under her perfect skin, and that her fingernails are like too long and tinged black. So my question here was, what is like the transition to a vampire or whatever's happening to her supposed to look like, so that I know if what Telena and Ishabal did is actually stopping it or just slowing it down, or like is what we're looking at not great, but like, is it better than what it's supposed to be looking like? You know, you see what I'm saying? Like, nobody's given me a frame of reference for what's
Yeah.
happening to her to, I guess, grasp her situation, other than that she hasn't woke up.
Right.
So I guess I don't. I had so many questions and I was so excited to see her on page and get those answers.
I know.
I did not. So, other exciting things happened in this chapter.
Yes,
but
very.
I was disappointed by that.
Still no idea what's going on with Everlane.
No clue. I mean, Adina kind of says that she's lost or it will be hard
Like
for her
too far to
find
reach.
her way back. Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but that still doesn't really give me answers. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. What I was excited about, though, is that Onyx is in this chapter. And he was sleeping at Everlane's feet by the bottom of the bed. And that immediately, I was like, oh, so Everlane's not evil because Onyx clearly trusts her. But then it wasn't actually Everlane, it was Adina. So I don't know now if that's true. But he was also having a little dream and he was kicking his little feet so he could run super fast while he was sleeping and snoring. It was very cute.
Kyle just shakes his head at you.
But because I'm not sure if I trust Everlane or not, when Ceres is sitting there just talking to her, I was expecting like Everlane to suddenly like jolt awake and attack her or do something crazy. I was not expecting the Quicksilver to start speaking here, and especially not like to start speaking from Everlane's mouth. Like that was insane. But the Quicksilver says, she hears you, she feels you, open the gate, the gate, the gate, the gate, open it, open the gate. Is that the Quicksilver speaking to Adina saying that Ceres hears her and that she needed to open the gate, or was it talking to Ceres?
I think it was Adina hears Ceres, so Ceres opened the gate, and when she touches the Quicksilver onto
The gate's
Everlane, that opened the gate.
That's insane. That's insane. Then Ceres says to the Quicksilver, you aren't supposed to be here. And then it says, I leaned closer to inspect Everlane's earrings. And the Quicksilver says, we are, always have been. So I wrote, always have been on Everlane? Like they're always supposed to be here because they've always been here?
Yeah, I highlighted this too. Like, why does Everlane even have these in the first place?
Who made them for her? The Quicksilver earrings.
I don't know.
If there's no...
And I also was thinking through it, like, did she not detect this earlier and stuff? But I guess when she started, like, she being Ceres, started practicing with the Quicksilver, she hadn't seen Everlane since then, I don't think.
Which makes you wonder if these were given to her by Malcolm.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, now I want to go back to the beginning of Quicksilver and see if it said anything about her earrings.
Good
point.
point.
Because actually, I mean, if you think about the fact that Pelican never being there to get rid of the alchemist books, they may not have ever gone there to get rid of any alchemists either.
Oh, in Amatreus?
Yeah.
That's true.
True.
Yeah, because it
Or
said
at least easier to hide there.
Malcolm, like, cherished them or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
There are no results for the word earrings in Quicksilver. So maybe not. But, I mean, when she sees her, when she first meets Everlane, that would be before, obviously, she ends up with Malcolm. So that's interesting. Yeah. My next note is when the Quicksilver says, it is done then. Done, done, done.
Oh my god.
Just wanted to say done, done, done. So
and then Quicksilver
is now Huntrix. Yes. Voice is strong.
I don't talk, but I bite full of venom.
Nice. Yes.
There is 3 of them.
I love it.
They could be the
Fit check
triumvirate.
from my Vampire Queen era.
Nice.
I had a lot of shouty notes from this chapter because I audibly gasped so loud when the Quicksilver started speaking through Everlane, and I was immediately like, this is Adina! I had like no basis for that, but that was my immediate assumption.
Wow, good job.
Thank you. But then Everlane's head snapped to the left, facing Ceres, her jaw working from side to side. So take a sip, everybody. Cheers.
I was guessing initially, especially after it says, I've been waiting a long, long time to speak with you, Ceres Fane. I was guessing it was going to be Finran. That was my guess before we found out.
Interesting. I had no guesses at all. And so whenever she actually says, Adina, I am Adina, I was jaw on the floor. I was like, we were driving home from our Thanksgiving trip, and I was surprised Kyle didn't like look over because I was like freaking out because he's over there driving. I was freaking out. Oh, sure. He was listening to his own audiobook, but I was freaking out. But then I was so upset at Ceres. Like, I wanted to just like go and like shake her in this moment because she's like, oh, that name sounds so familiar to me. I feel like I've heard it somewhere recently, hadn't I? And I was like, oh my God, it's literally your mate's mother. Did you you had this whole moment where she's like drawn you and knows exactly who you are and stuff, and you don't remember her name?
Right.
Oh my
Rude.
word. I was so
She passed
upset.
out.
She slept since then.
Well, then my
Ugh.
next note was not Sarah's making fun of Adina 2 seconds after meeting her. She's like roasting her. Because Adina's like, you must go. And Sarah goes, yeah, no shit. Adina says, the library, go to the library. There you will find a book. And Sarah goes, libraries are full of books. Girl, put some respect on her name, please.
I highlighted the same thing, but just put the note, the image of today, Junior, in here. That's the energy Saris was giving her.
Literally. Oh my gosh. And then Adina, like toward the end of this little conversation, says, make sure he knows how much I loved him, Saris Fane. At the end, make sure he knows that I do it all again. And I wrote, cool. No doubt, cool.
She just means the
Great.
end of the book, not the end of his life.
The end of the book. At the end of this
Adina
core
knows she's in a
trilogy.
book. Yeah.
See, I thought she was referencing at her end, like that at the end of her life.
Oh, no. I
Like
thought
with
she meant at
whatever
the end
happened.
of Kingfisher's life. Like she had seen
Oh,
that he was going to die before
interesting.
Saris or something. And they
At the
keep
end of the
alluding
world.
to, they keep alluding to the fact that the god bindings always end in tragedy. Like one of them dies or something.
I read that as the continuation of her first sentence. Like, make sure he knows how much I loved him at the end. Make sure he knows that I'd do it all again. That's how I read it.
I don't know. I mean, she's already dead, technically.
But that's
So I don't know what the end would be for her
Yeah.
continued existence.
But also with the God bindings thing, Saris already died. So I was hoping that
true.
negated the one of them dies thing. That's what I was hoping.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
Smart.
Smart.
Ew. Remember that when I make some other dumb comment like a pig sticker in the future.
Okay.
Anyways, then we get like our next thing on our to-do list from Adina, where she tells Saris that an alchemist must seal her runes. You are a well that runs deep. When you were marked with your runes, their magic began pouring into you. It flows and it will not stop. So now we need to seal our runes. Maybe. I don't know how do you do that, but we're going to do it.
Gotta find the book first.
Cool. But I don't think she wants to find that book first. I think she's gotten distracted
Apparently
with the
not.
runes.
She just wants to tell everybody the stuff she wasn't supposed to tell anybody.
Saris. All right. Chapter 10 is called Rot. It is continuing Saris's POV. And this is when everybody goes to the library to like kind of have a little powwow group chat before they go on their various ways. And they arrive and it says Carrion had already been in the library, lounging on a plush sofa by the fire and reading a book. And Con has brought up multiple times that like Carrion knows something else and he's, I don't know. But I've always been like, oh, whatever. It's just Carrion. He just does stuff. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting on board with this whole like Carrion knows way
Yes.
more than he should and is somehow interfering with like literally everything theory.
I have
Because
a
like
thought in
how
my thoughts about
convenient that
later.
he's already here.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just wild.
He's probably reading the book Saris is supposed to be looking for.
Probably, honestly. He
I'll
probably
be like, oh yeah, I
is.
read that already.
But also, what is he reading? Like he felt that he
Yeah.
needed to go there and
Kama
was
Sutra.
just trying to read everything. I
Oh
don't know.
my gosh.
What'd you say, Kyle?
Just at the Kama Sutra.
I just feel like he knows something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then I was writing my notes and I was shocked that there was no note from Con here about even just the mention of Nevercross.
Yeah,
Because
because I already know
you've
we're going to
been,
go
like-
there.
I know. You've been talking about it in all your theories that these two new places were added to the map. And so we were going to go there and we hear the mention of Nevercross, that's where the witches keep like their histories and everything in the catacombs below the city. And it will be like our last resort to go there. But yeah, we'll definitely 100% totally go there.
Yeah, totally.
So,
I think
good
it's
job,
because my
Kyle.
highlights from this were for the pronunciation guide.
Oh, sure. Well, still, good job in
Still.
calling that.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of
Thank you
you.
so much. I can't wait. It sounds very interesting.
Sounds terrifying.
Well, yeah,
Whatever's
but
in the catacombs, Ishabal doesn't even want to go. So
I just mean like Nevercross. I feel like we're going to get so much information about the witches there. At least that's my hope, is that there's like a big lore dump while we're there because they do literally everything in Nevercross. I was also just like, again, just completely shocked in this chapter by the way that the rot is infecting literally everything, living or dead. Like any organism at all, it's like reanimating or just, it's like becoming part of it. It's just, I don't know. It's just insane. I don't think I've read anything like that.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like that, if like all the feeders get infected, that they're basically just screwed. There's no hope. So cool.
Uh-huh.
This is also when Saris finally starts telling everyone about her interaction with Zareth, and somebody says, wait, Zareth, the god of chaos, Zareth? And she says, god of chaos and change. He was very adamant about the and change part. And I'm like, is this mean the and change part is supposed to be like really important? Or is it referencing to the fact that he like changed Saris into like Fae or whatever? Or is this like a small little sentence that means something more? Or am I just grasping at anything right now?
I mean, I was assuming that the and change would also partially reference like Saris being changed from human into like something the gods can no longer see. But I don't know.
Maybe it also just comes from Saris's apparent deep-rooted need to be slightly more correct than anyone else in the conversation.
Okay.
With the way she was talking to Adina and now this, she's just like, oh, yeah, well, ooh. I can relate, obviously. Like actually, but I'm not saying I'm immune to that. I'm just saying it takes one to know one.
Sure.
But I mean, he was adamant about that. So does that also make Zareth? Is he a pick-me boy?
He might be. He's like, I'm not like the other gods. I
have 2 qualifiers, not just one.
I can't change the rot, but I can change everything else.
I can change your internal organs.
I'm not going to let the other gods see you, just me.
It was you. It was you tucking your hair behind your ear in the middle of all of that. That was great. Good job.
Classic pygmy move, tucking the hair behind the ear.
Classic Zareth. But speaking of these gods, I have a God's watch. I wrote good God and then in parentheses S watch. Ishabal saying that Saris's interaction with the gods is impossible because the Ivalian gods aren't real, they're metaphors, and that the witches' deities are real and have always been here is just, it's sending me into a spiral because apparently everybody has different gods and I need to know more and I don't know anything. They're like, my gods are real, but I'm not going to tell you anything about them yet. That's all.
That was beautiful. That was a great spiral. I love that for you. I have no answers. But what I highlighted in this conversation was Lorith's response to that, where he's like, but the Valkyr gods are real though, right? Those elemental spirits who whisper in your ears, the ones who tell you whether you should prevent or commit atrocities for the greater good, quote. He heaped sarcasm onto those last 3 words. So clearly we've already discussed like Lorith is going through something or some sort of trauma with the witches. And is this something to do with that the witches committed some atrocity that affected Lorith for quote unquote the greater good, or didn't prevent something from happening maybe,
or
and that's why he's mad at them?
Ishabal is actually just Frozone and Lorith is like, the greater good, I am the greatest good you are ever gonna get.
The confused look on my face when you started that, I had no idea where you were going.
Yeah,
amazing.
It took me a moment.
Wow, Con. John knew immediately. He was right there with you.
Because I say it all the time.
Oh, that was so good.
I was going to say, in response to, I guess,
that was so funny.
You're good. In response to Khan's note about her being like, oh, your gods are just metaphors, ours are the real ones, I kind of wonder if it might be like a Roman Greek situation where they have the same ones, but they call them by different names and they do the same things, and nobody's willing to say like, oh, they're the same. And we're just, I mean, the Romans and Greeks weren't exactly that. The Romans knew, they adopted their gods, but there's other instances, I'm sure, in history of people worshiping the same thing and then arguing that it's not the same thing.
Yeah. But it is interesting that he described them as elemental spirits.
Which, I mean, that's like the first thing that most cultures would make gods of, is the very basic elements that they can view. So
that's true. Except the Avelian ones just are kind of random.
Right.
Well, and so are there's the 5 levels of hell and the demon gods.
Yeah.
And so whatever's going on there, are those the same gods just thought of as different, or are those completely different itself? Or
I don't know, man.
I know.
Awfully kind of them to not do anything while the gods are gone. Like, as the demon lords be like, well, I mean, we could have free reign, but we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Trapped
Maybe
in
they are.
labyrinths.
Maybe that's what this rot is or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. My only other note from this chapter was that I appreciate the acknowledgement of the timeline inconsistencies, even if it still makes 0 sense. I feel like there's maybe a deeper explanation coming at some point. It was just interesting. I know Callie got like a bajillion questions about that after Quicksilver came out because it wasn't acknowledged at all. It was just, there were just big gaps in the timeline. So her response to that seems to have always been, I can't tell you anything. You're going to learn more about it later. Like that kind of thing. So
How convenient.
Is this us learning about
Plot
it
holes
later?
were pointed out in my first book. Maybe
well,
they'll
this
be
book
fixed in the
was
second.
already written. So.
But it is another God's Watch moment where they're talking about the gods interfering with that. Well, that's their assumption, is that the gods interfered in that moment because Carrion doesn't remember he was a baby. It is just interesting with Madra, like from the Orlena Perry POV, we know that the night that Carrion came to Zilvarin was also the night that Madra became queen. So it would be interesting too that if they did decide to change the timeline or choose maybe when Carrion went to Zilvarin, that would be the night that they chose that. And that means that they also chose the night that the Quicksilver would freeze, right? Or however that would work in that timeline.
Interesting.
Because that's however they would have orchestrated all of that. So
it is another like classic Feywild thing to do is time works differently and you go in and then come out at a different time.
Like in D&D, we went into one world for a literal session and then we came out of it the next session and it was 2 years later in the other world. Stuff like that. And like we were only in there for, I mean, 1 session worth of time, which with, you know, however
like
many days that was.
In the Feywild.
And then it was 2 years later back in the regular world. That's like a normal thing.
Oh, that's fun.
I don't know. I mean, it was interesting.
I mean,
that's for sure.
that makes me a little nervous though for like this whole plot line of like, well, and that gets into kind of my next note too. So if we're going into chapter 11, that's Fool's Paradise. This is Sarah's POV. It makes me a little nervous that they're like, okay, we're going to meet back up in exactly 3 days time. But if time moves differently still in Zilvarin, how do they know? Like when?
That's a great point.
And I feel like their plans here at the end of this section are already getting completely derailed. So they could end up getting stuck there on accident for a lot longer. But then maybe Saris won't even know. Like, I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, it worked whenever Saris sent Kingfisher to get Hayden the first time.
That's
and
true.
she opened it after an hour.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was still a shorter amount of time, but...
So maybe it was only that moment, like while the Quicksilver was... when it was first
Maybe
stilled.
that's the relics help with as well, is making sure that they're not
Ooh.
thrown into some other wild time.
Oh, he did. I think he had a like chain around his neck with a relic on it, right?
I don't remember.
Maybe.
I feel like he would have to.
Yeah, I think he did. But in chapter 11, my first note is, well, I'm immediately nervous about the shadow gate to Kalish being propped open indefinitely because Kingfisher was the one who left it open. So I was like, great. Okay, so he probably is going to get stuck in Zilvarin and then they won't be able to close the shadow gate that just connects Kalish directly to a like rot infested area. Real nervous about that. And now we keep getting all these mentions in this section of things being lit with even light. And I just want to know what the hell it is and why they're celebrating it in Zilvarin. And like back in Quicksilver, when they first mentioned it, I think it's only mentioned like once in Quicksilver, maybe twice. They talk about how even light is like a celebration of some kind in Zilvarin. It's like a festival. And every year, I think it's annual, every even light, Madra bestows some sort of gift to the people. And so the mention of it in Quicksilver was, I think it was actually Carrion saying that the guards were all busy like setting up for even light. And they were wondering, because it was in a month, and they were wondering what the gift was going to be. And everybody was like speculating about it. So I maybe this is a thoughts and theories thing, but I just, because it keeps coming up, I'm like, I think that the timing potentially, however this works, might work out for even light to happen while Carrion and Kingfisher are in Zilvarin for these like couple of days. So I'm very curious to see like what the gift is and why they're covering things in flowers and doing that. I just want to know what it is.
Both how it works as a light and how it works as a party.
Yes. Is it a rave? No.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. Even like glow sticks?
I mentioned glow sticks later, so that's very funny you brought that up. The last episode, I was talking about how I was super excited for the Lorith Saris training montage, and we totally get a brief moment of that in this chapter section, so I was really excited about that. And then we get this like little brief mention of the Battle of Ajin Gate, and we learn about Morel and that whole part of the story. So officially Saris knows some of that information. But this is that PSA if you still haven't done those bonus chapters to totally go read that.
Do 'em.
Because you would know the whole story.
Yes, and they head to the tavern as he's telling her the story of Morel, and she's just kind of like noticing everybody around her. It says, and then there were the High Bloods themselves. This may have been when they get closer to, or maybe like actually inside the tavern, I think. Then there were the High Bloods themselves. They wore cruel smiles, and their eyes flashed like knives in the dark, but their features were delicate, their skin flawless, their shirts exquisitely tailored, their dresses sheer and silk and satin. And I was reading this through. She was like kind of taking in everything. I was like, I'm telling you, she's already seeing like the quote unquote beauty of her quote unquote people. She's gonna end up genuinely fighting for them. I'm still on that whole train.
Interesting.
She's like, and she's not all high and drugged up from drinking blood here.
True.
Like
True, yeah.
that we thought
Good
before
point. When
with
she
the Hall of
walked in-
Tears.
Even when she walked into Taladeus's like office or room or wherever, and she was like, "Oh, it smells so good in here." She's like starting to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
These little things, you know.
Well, my next note is actually for John, because in the last episode you were like, how do they actually feed, or like where's all of this coming from? And then we learn as they go into this like bar that most of the people there are thralls. And it's like they're, I guess, enthralled to be there to basically be fed off of. And
Yeah.
that's the answer to that question.
Wow.
Yeah, there's just like
Blood
I'm
bags just chilling.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's just what I was gonna say. It seems like everybody has one is kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to survive, basically.
It's like their
It's a
weird
little-
human pet.
Pet.
Or
Snack.
fae. I guess they're not human.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're snack.
Just
So I guess that is
pack
that.
your own lunch.
Little Capri Suns.
Respect the pouch.
Oh my gosh. Okay, my next note is all caps. Okay, Lorith, he just pulled this dude's hand off with his own hands and then shoved the hand down the guy's throat before he could even scream. Fingers first. I was just,
Yep.
I was not expecting that at all, but also from Lorith, I don't know. He just, like, I
It
know
felt
he's
like a bit of an
warrior.
overreaction.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I think I just have my perception of him is more of like a gentle giant sort of vibe. Like, again, I know he's a warrior. He's amazing at a lot of things. This just felt like 0 to 100. Literally, this happened in like a split second. It really caught me off guard. I don't know. But what also caught me off guard is my last note for chapter 11 was Taladeus bringing somebody in, this like mystery person. So did he bring his own thrall? And then it sounded like he called them Lore, like Lore. At first I thought that was like a nickname for Lorith, and I was like, are they buddies? What is happening? And then realized that he was talking to the person he brought, but then he like made a sound shield to talk to them, to dismiss them and have them leave. And it just felt super shady. I'm getting a lot of shady vibes
Very
from Tal now.
shady.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the person was like all cloaked. And then
Yeah.
the sound shell thing makes it. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
if I can trust it.
Yeah. And didn't they ask, or was that in the next one? If Saris asked like who he brought and he was just avoiding the question again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't know.
So I guess you need a lore dump, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Uh,
Well, actually,
worded it like that.
now that I'm thinking about it.
Wait a minute.
All right, chapter 12. It is called Tal from Saris's POV. I was very confused at the beginning of this chapter because it was like, chapter 12, Tal, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait, what? But I'm with it now. My first note here was candle watch for Tal, because she does go into his office and says, it smelled good in here, like dry paper and earth, warm vanilla and chocolate. Comforting. So I guess that's what Tal smells like.
Like a custard dropped in the mud.
I mean, I'm here
Vanilla
for warm
chocolate
vanilla and chocolate. That sounds great.
Too soon, Kyle.
Yeah, and it goes on to say she went to pick up the crow's head. When I reached for it, a rope of fire lashed up my arm. I was wearing my gloves. The god bindings were still best hidden from prying eyes for the time being, but light spilled out of the bottom of the leather cuff, washing up my arm. And okay, so like, is this made of Quicksilver? Like, that was my first assumption here.
I went back to look at this when I was going through these notes, and one of the first sentences of the chapter says that it's an obsidian crow, like obsidian crow's head.
Interesting.
So I don't know if it could still have Quicksilver in it, but like, is obsidian going to be her weakness? But like, also, isn't all of Amentrayeth made of obsidian and demon bones?
Right.
Yeah, but also she tries to reach for it the first time, and Tal like swats her hand away. And then this is her trying to reach for it like the second time. So I was wondering if it was like maybe part of this enthrall thing, because he definitely convinces her to do something later in like 2 notes from now from me. So maybe it was like a weird him not letting her or something. I don't know. Well, Tal and Saris continue their conversation, and Tal says, Saris, I'm not going to let you off because you're new to all of this, but a vampire can't lie to its maker. A blue aura comes off when you try, and the stronger the aura, the bigger the lie. And right now you're lighting up my office like a torch. But even if you weren't, I can feel that you're in pain, a lot of pain, so tell me what's going on. And he's trying to figure out, like, about her runes that are burning her in this moment. But I'm like, okay, he can just tell when you're lying.
It's a handy dandy lie detector.
Right? Has this happened already in the book that she maybe lied to him and I didn't pick it up because I would not have thought that?
Yeah.
That would have been important. But also, if he is kind of shady, I feel like it's weird that he would give that up when he's talking about like denouncing their relationship or whatever we're calling it in that moment. So I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But in response to that, she like is kind of still holding back, I guess, from that moment. And it says, my maker looked down at my hands. And it says, he says, take off the gloves, show me. And then it says, absolutely no part of me wanted to do that, but I did. So he can control her, right? Absolutely no part of her wanted to do it, but she did. And he like gives it in a command. Take off the gloves, show me. That feels very commandy, enthrall kind of. Yeah. And so again, I'm so surprised that he would just give that up if he is shady. Like giving that up makes it feel like he's trying to be a friend to her. And like all his reasonings why. But
I'm sold on your first one. I'm not as sold on this one because I could also see it as like she didn't want to, but also had no argument as to why she would not want to. And it was just like, oh, it's just easier to do it. I don't know. Like, no part of me wants to go into work, but I do because like I don't have a good argument to get out of it every day. That sort of thing. That's where it's like she could just be standing there like, I don't want to do that, but what am I going to do? Say no, and then he's going to control me or like argue that I should just stand here and argue his point.
Yeah.
Well, then
still keeping watch on it.
Yeah, I am. I got a little thought on that later with Tal. But it continues. She says, I even told him about Adina's warning that I needed to find her book in the libraries at college. After all, she told me not to breathe a word of it to Fisher, but she hadn't said anything about enlisting the help of a vampire lord. And I was like, this is how it starts. Already, she's telling something to Tal before she tells Fisher, man. It's a dangerous road. Dangerous road to start down.
Nervous. This is another one of those things where I'm like, it's making me not trust him at all. I'm nervous.
Yep.
Yep.
Well,
Slippery, sexy slope.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right, Kyle.
I'd still read that book.
Slippery,
that's the title of the book.
I would read that.
I believe the book you're looking for is Kiss of the Basilisk by Liz Strong.
Good to know. It's on the TBR. Okay, well, I usually write my notes in last, so I had seen this note from you, John. So I went back to the conversation with Adina just to see, like, what did she actually, like, officially say? And so Adina says, find it, but do not tell him about it. I mean it. It's important. He can't know about the book. Only you. So she never says Fisher. I don't know why she would not be referencing Fisher in this moment, but she does not officially say his name. Yeah. But either way, she still says, only you. So big whoops here, Saris. That was a big no-no.
Gosh. Only you can prevent tearing a giant hole into the Amentrayeth library.
But she doesn't. She's the only one who does terror.
That's what I mean. She's also the only one that's supposed to know about the book. Oh, Ceres. So she says here, that would mean that Adina's soul has been here ever since she died, trapped. And Tal says, right, but not trapped. As far as I know, Adina never gave away a piece of her soul like Fisher did when he saved that idiot out there. This just feels like such a huge assumption to me from Taladeus, unless he's like way closer to Fisher than we think. Like, why is he like presuming to know that about Adina?
Yeah, and he adds, she wouldn't have been tethered to anyone on this side of the veil, which means that she stayed by sheer force of will alone. And that I kind of had the same thought. I was like, well, how does he know she wouldn't have done that, though? Like, could she have tethered it to Sarah somehow, or like somebody else? Like, yeah, I feel like it's a pretty big assumption to make.
Yeah.
But if that's true, it's wildly impressive. Like, however she would have done that, and by sheer, or of like, her own sheer force of will alone. Like, that's, I don't know, crazy. Yeah. All for that one moment? Or will we see Adina again?
I think so.
Is she the new Elena? Can we say that?
Literally just thinking that.
Can we say that in this series?
I will always protect Elena.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm just excited for Ceres's magic. And so we see a little bit more of it here where Tal says because of the like burning on the runes, he thinks she's going to have some sort of elemental fire magic. And then because it's healing, she's going to have some sort of healing magic and just like be able to use some of those abilities and stuff. He says, yet another thread that connects you to your alchemist heritage. These things are happening to your body can still be seen as positive things to come. So that's exciting. I don't know. I'm excited about her magic and whatever could possibly happen from that. And then this is where we learn that Tal has only sired 2 people. I think I was under the assumption that he was just siring people left and right and maybe had his own like hidden group of people that he's like that are enthralled to him or something. And he was almost like a second Malcolm type of energy, like having this on the side maybe, but it seems to be just fully and now Ceres. So yeah, I think that changed some of how I was thinking about that as well.
Yeah, because like that makes me feel like I could trust him.
Yeah, I know.
If he's not lying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think I'm more surprised that Malcolm hadn't forced him to sire other people.
Well, it sounds like everyone thought only Malcolm could do it.
Oh, yeah, right? I guess that's true. Maybe that's part of the reason he hasn't, because he knows he can and he doesn't want anybody else to know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have to now with Sarah showing up. But this is whenever he proposes the idea of breaking their bond, I guess, and severing their bond that they have as maker and maid. And one of the descriptors in this conversation was the relationship between maker and maid could be compared to that of parent and offspring, I suppose. And I was like, okay, so not a why choose. Got it.
Confirmed. It just could be compared, you know. Could be.
Oh, that did it for me on that one.
No.
The whole my maker thing is way less hot now.
It's weird. Yep.
Yeah. Totally weird.
But daddy's okay. Gotcha.
I never said that.
It wouldn't be in this context now.
Yeah, not like this. And then finally he says, so my question to you, Ceres, is this. Would it offend you very badly if I publicly disavowed you and severed our bond? And she's like, no more maker, maid bullshit. And he agrees and says, how about friends? So Tal's officially friend zoned.
Yep. And it says, at that, he returned my grin. In that case, you'd better call me Tal. And I just wrote, I don't know, you guys. I just don't know, guys. I still don't like it.
I don't
you
like
better
it
call me
either.
Tal. Wink into the camera.
And it's the name of the chapter.
You're a Tal pal.
All right. Chapter 13, Silver City with Kingfisher. Also, every time I see this, I still think of Silver Dollar City because I can't unsee that now.
Let's go.
So if anyone needs a map of Zilvarin, just look up Silver Dollar City.
Yeah.
Especially at Christmas time. It's like the Even Light Festival.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we're going to call it this year now when we go.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's like the #1 Christmas attraction or whatever in the U.S.
Or whatever, yeah.
Or whatever. So even light is just twinkle lights. That's what I'm getting from this. So
But
whatever
like
they say is
bajillion
lit
of them.
with, yeah, okay, great. My first note is not Kingfisher's Quicksilver roasting carrion inside his mind. And the Quicksilver says, the smart mouth is not so smart now. It purred. The smart mouth sounds stupid. Sick burn, Quicksilver. This is another one of those things, though, that just like confuses me about how the heck the Quicksilver works, because sometimes it seems like it's all one sentience, and sometimes it seems like different pieces of it have different bits of information. And like the Quicksilver that's inside of Carrion's sword thinks he's hilarious, but the Quicksilver in Kingfisher's eye is like, the smart mouth sounds stupid. Like, hilarious, but I'm also very confused by this.
Maybe one day we'll get an answer. But today's not that day.
No.
What we do get today, though, is Kingfisher grinding his teeth together. Drink, drink, drink.
Oh, thank you. It's not the only thing he's grinding in this episode.
Ow.
Carrion?
Ground beef.
Missed that part.
Carrion. Hey, we do leave this chapter with Carrion on all fours. So
Hey-o.
we do leave this chapter section. I'm just saying.
Help me,
I didn't
Kingfisher,
write the
I'm
book.
stuck.
Why am I trapped in here?
Oh, no.
It's fallen and I can't get up.
Oh, it's so funny.
All right. Well, I have another little gripe about Kingfisher. Nothing important. He talks about sunlight, and then in his inner monologue is like, sunlight or sun's light. There are two suns here. And I was like, do you call the light from multiple stars star's light? Or if a room is lit by torches or candles, do you say torches or candles light? This is a rhetorical rant. I just thought it was a dumb thing to change just because there's two. It's still sunlight. Whatever.
No, I love this because it reminds me of the episode of Gilmore Girls where Rory corrects Lorelai in she was trying to say multiple cul-de-sacs, and Rory corrects her by telling her the correct form of it is actually cul-de-sac. And so the entire episode, Lorelai's going around being like trying to pluralize other things that way because she's like so obsessed with like how weird that sounds.
That's exactly this moment.
Sounded very weird to me. I was like, no, don't do that, Kingfisher.
Like,
And then Karen, being very relatable, closing his eyes because he can't see in the shadows is probably the most relatable thing he's done to me. There are times where it's so dark, I'm like, well, might as well close these puppies. And I just close my eyes and I walk around with my eyes closed.
These puppies.
So I put the little image from the Vine where that kid is like, I do that.
Do that.
I was like, yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Keeps your eyes from drying out pointlessly.
Well, I have another note about Carrion here, and it's very important. So if I could have your attention, please. Carrion.
That timing was so good.
Impeccable timing. That's me.
All right, well, my next note.
Okay, no, this is
Gotcha.
actually important. The people need to know. Don't do it again. I know you're thinking about it. Your face. Okay. Carrion Swift Dianthus is 7 feet tall. Thank you for your time.
Did it say he was 7 feet tall? Or
Yes.
did it say he was like up, like close to it? I thought it said he was like, oh, he's like pretty close. But it
When
didn't.
you're
says
that
8.
tall, how does anyone even know?
I know, that's
I
what
wouldn't
5'11"
know.
guys say.
Well, Kingfisher does because he says, I'm slightly taller than Swift. Significantly better looking too. But that was beside the point. Sure, Kingfisher. Whatever helps you.
Alan myth and don't think so. I guess that's a theory that's not been confirmed.
Yeah, that's true.
My next note was just justice for the bread cart lady. Like, not even a throwaway line after they wreck her bread stand and they're just like, oh, we had a little fight with gravity. And then don't even toss her like a coin or anything. She's not mentioned again. Like, you're not going to throw her like a little pittance to be on your way. Like, her life is ruined.
And she just saw them like shift from Fae to
Yeah.
human. So like her whole life is literally
Yeah.
been
She just
ruined.
got
But
wrecked. Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
2 disappointments. Your bread cart got ruined, and 2 hot dudes turned into less hot dudes.
In
and
front of your
walked
eyes.
away.
Like, well, at least they're hot. Oh, no.
Dang it.
I also highlighted this note though, and I wrote, my cabbages from Avatar. I put
Yeah,
Elizabeth in there.
same energy for
Yeah,
sure.
it is the same energy. We'll probably see that same lady in Evelia later.
And
and her,
every other
her
book,
cart's
yep.
going to get wrecked. We'll see her later in college. Her cart's going to get wrecked.
Never cross.
Oh, man, my cabbages. My bread cart. Okay. And then I thought that was so interesting seeing Carrion using small magic in Zilvarin because he was doing it while like in his human form. And I was just not expecting that at all. And so now I wonder what else can he do? Because it's like all these small magics, but does he also have bigger, greater magic like some of these others?
I bet he does.
How big's
All
your
right.
magic?
Yeah, real big magic.
Do you think because there's that conversation that they have with Fisher's magic in Zilvarin, does Carrion have more access to his here than
That's what I'm
Evelia?
assuming.
Ooh, interesting. That's
Parcel.
really
I wouldn't
inconvenient
bet-
since he's the king of the other place.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know how that works. I would have to go back and see I don't remember what exactly Fisher said about like the magic in Zilvarin being different or something.
Well,
like
that
he
there
didn't have as
wasn't-
much access to it or something like that.
Yeah. And that it needed a lot more time to replenish.
Which
But
makes
also, oh, go ahead.
which quickly just which makes it interesting about just like Malcolm's magic essentially, or like the vampire's magic, I guess, and like the source, like where
Oh.
is the source the same or is it different because they're vampires in Avelia?
Interesting.
Anyway, just a thought.
I thought in that moment too, where Carrion's like, "What do you mean replenish?" and like Kingfisher has to explain it to him. At first, I was like, "Oh, Carrion's like learning about his magic and stuff," but I really think it's that Carrion's never felt that. He's never
Yeah.
felt his magic deplete. Like he is a Dianthus. His magic is probably infinite. And he's like probably only maybe even used it in small ways because of like his scenario and stuff, that he's never felt any sort of like exhaustion from using his magic at all. That's my guess.
Yeah,
And we're going to see this like epic
it's a good
Carrion
point.
magic moment.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Well, speaking of Carrion's magic, Kingfisher's boosting Carrion up, and he said he had Swift's ass in my face for at least 30 seconds, which were 30 seconds I would have to remember to blot from my memory once all of this was done. And I said, first of all, if you have to remember to blot your memory, you could also just not remember. And secondly, jealous Con.
I am dying
Yes.
that you used the transition of his magic to talk about his ass.
That's probably what he calls it.
It's really good, Kyle.
I got your source ready.
Where do I pull my magic from? Right out of my ass.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Well, also talking about Carrion, but not his ass. Sorry to disappoint. I thought it was super interesting that Kingfisher would make this connection. Like he almost has this flashback of this memory with his mother talking to Rurik Dianthus, and he connects that Rurik and Carrion's side profiles are nearly identical or whatever. But I thought it was interesting that he would notice this not when Carrion originally like shed his glamour and he saw him as Fae for the first time, but now that he's seeing him back in his human form, that he's making that connection. But I didn't know if it had something to do with like his surroundings triggering that memory, or just, I don't know. I thought that was odd.
Maybe Rurik was short.
He was a short king.
He was
Facial
just a
features,
short
you know,
king.
pretty similar
Literally.
still.
So when Carrion is 7 feet, it's like he's just not connecting it. Rurik Dianthus, short king. Canon.
That's it. Canon. Put it on the list if we ever get to interview Callie. I need to know how tall Rick Dianthus was.
Yes.
Right now, like -6 feet.
Okay, Kyle.
Oh,
But speaking more on the coin,
Oh my god.
Kingfisher's like going back in his memory, talking about the coin that he had, and he was like, "Oh, I marveled at it, stroking its surface reverently as I walked barefoot down the pathways of Ballard on my way to Wendy's to spend my fortune." And I just wrote, "Oh yeah, brother, get a Baconator." There's a Wendy's here. This place isn't so bad.
so Wendy's in Ballard.
I'm like angry that I didn't even make that connection in my head.
That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, I wonder if they still have the 4 for $4 there. This is a good deal. Everybody's complaining they got a fast food franchise.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, the last line of this chapter is the stranger, meaning Vorath Shaw, had been looking right at me, Kingfisher. And I wrote at the time, in all caps, if I am effing right about Vorath Shaw, I am about to be so smug. Underneath I wrote, I am not, in fact, so smug. Only because, as a refresher, anytime we were asked like who we thought Finrin was, like if we'd already met him or if he was Elroy or whatever, every time I was like, I don't think it's anybody we've met yet, but I think it could be Vorath Shaw because he's like the only random character we haven't met but that has a last name. Like that just seemed crazy to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that that's been debunked. But technically, I don't know.
I feel like you can still be somewhat like proud of that because he still was a character.
True.
That we are still interacting with and talking to. Like you pulled one singular sentence where somebody had a first and a last name compared to others, and he's now here. So that's still impressive.
True. That's true.
So good job.
Thank you.
All right, we head into chapter 14, Blood in the Milk. This is Sarah's point of view. My first note was just on this chapter title, and I wrote, "Not in the milk."
Don't cry over blood in your milk.
Yeah.
Spilled blood in the milk. As I was typing these chapter titles into the outline, I realized that I was not paying attention to the chapter titles at all while I was reading. Because usually I do with these because I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's going to mean. But I literally did not. I must have just glazed right over this one because that made me laugh going back through for the outline.
Not in the milk.
I had a note. Just under the title, we get a little stat block of death counts and corruption, among which is the estimated infected landmass being 2,039 hectares. And in case you didn't, I did the math. It translates to around 7.873 square miles, which is, for the ease of comparison I found, Patterson, California is the exact square mileage. According to like pretty unthorough Googling. I'm sure there are others. But in case you wanted like I don't know, like a view of like how big that would be. It's not as big as I thought it would be. For one, it's, I mean, for those who live in Modesto, you know, it's pretty close by, you know, Patterson. I mean, it's big enough to be a city, but I was thinking like it was going to be like, you know, a whole country's worth.
Yeah.
But just a small town in California size.
Nice.
Shout out to
I'm sure
Patterson,
it'll get
California.
bigger. I'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Patterson, California.
All
You're
of
all
our
dead.
listeners in Patterson.
All of you represent in the comments. Roll call.
All 7 of you.
They all get a whole mile? That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
Square mile.
Yeehaw.
You know it.
All right. My next note is that Lorith had procured a swift-winged hawk to pass messages back and forth, and I wrote, Carrion's gonna be pissed when he hears about this. Because that's so cool. Where did he just find a really fast hawk to bring messages back and forth for him?
This just made me think of that TikTok sound that's like, Adian smiled. Rowan. You know?
Who is that?
Rowan.
It's Rowan. Bringing messages back and forth. I do have a quick note here about our mods had warned us about a confirmed error in chapter 14, that it was just like an editing mistake. So in the ebook, it says Lorith was with Carrion in the training hall attempting to whip him into shape, and without the warrior at my side to remind him of their manners, it seemed as though the members of the Blood Court had taken to staring. So this is like in the middle of a paragraph, I think. And this isn't true in this case because Carrion's in Zilvarin right now, but this sentence is not in the audiobook. It's just in the ebook, so it just gets like skipped over in the audio.
Well, Tal and Saris make their way to the library, and we learned that they still have all the things on the alchemists. Like, Belicon never came here and destroyed it all and whatever. So I'm really excited that she's hopefully going to get all the answers she needs. And now that we know that Foley is there as well, maybe he has information and knows which books to read and all the stuff. So I'm hopeful for that in the next chapter section.
Yeah. My next note was just about how this library has library cats, because it's a fantasy book and they all have library cats, and parchment larks. I was so excited about that, except their parchment larks make little parchment lark babies.
Yeah. I imagine them looking more like birds, not like
Yeah.
a crane or
Like
like
an
a paper
origami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks
Much more
a lot more
complicated.
intricate.
Their folds.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ew.
Kyle.
Paper airplane.
That's the proper use this time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Fair.
Still not a fan. But Algat.
Algat.
I don't get you, my pretty.
Okay. Oh, it's fun. Okay, Algat says, I hear you have a white fox living in your chambers, King Killer. I wouldn't let it out roaming if I were you. Guru doesn't like canines of any persuasion. And so I was like, is this a threat to Onyx? Because, like,
Right.
obviously she's talking specifically about the white fox. But also, is this a threat to maybe Kingfisher or something? Because people don't
Oh,
like
the
him.
dog.
And then they call him the dog. Yeah, and because she says of any persuasion. I don't know. It just feels like it
Yeah.
opens the options up there of who she's talking
Yep.
about.
And I wouldn't consider, is a fox
Interesting.
considered a canine?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're dogs.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Which raises, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, the little pitter-patter of paw prints on your sprayed edges. Are they feline or canine?
Oh.
I think they're canine.
That figures with the picture of Onyx, but
Interesting, though.
you never know.
But also, obviously, we are saying Kingfisher because of the dog, like mentioned, and with him having a whole chapter called that and stuff like that from
Yeah.
Quicksilver. But also, all the Lupoprilia are wolves,
The wolves,
and that
yeah.
would be the same too, and Lorith and whatever.
Word.
So
Yeah.
I don't know,
And now
just something to
Guru's
watch
just
there with Guru.
Out. Yep.
Yay!
Great. So I have even more questions from these last couple chapters. So Algat is being rude to Saris, and Tal says, Algat, remember who you're speaking to. She replies, I know exactly to whom I speak. King Killer, Day's End, The Last Tide, Namebreaker. And Tal cuts her off and says, enough. And he like slams his fist down into the table. And my note was, excuse me, Tal, do you care to share with the class? Because obviously she's got all these names for Saris, and she's called her King Killer before, but then there's Day's End, The Last Tide, Namebreaker. Like, what? I feel like he knows what all these mean, and he cut her off on purpose, and he doesn't want Saris to know, which also feels shady again.
Yeah.
So here are some things that I'm also now nervous about at the end of this chapter. Number one, Saris giving her blood to the Shadow Cat. I don't know why we weren't concerned about that, but okay. 2, Saris commanding Algat to never listen to her thoughts again, because I feel like she's going to need
Not
that.
just hers, it's all her people.
Yeah.
It's like everybody.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's
And
bad.
3, Saris's total inability to control her power and leaving a 20-foot hole in Amontreath. And I just wrote, what is going on in all caps?
Yeah, that was like the most. That specifically was like felt like the most random and out of place thing to happen so far.
But she is
It's like
having
just-
like
yeah.
outbursts of power because
Yeah, sure, but like I'm like, okay, things just start like disappearing, and
Yeah.
then she just disappears everything in the side of and then there's just a big hole. I don't know, man. Bit of a reach for me, but we'll get there.
A big anime power blast.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that came out of nowhere.
Well, so that's what I was thinking at first too, that it was like some kind of blast out of power. But I think she literally just made things vanish, essentially. So there wasn't an explosion or something, if you want to think of it that
not
way.
like
But
yeah.
seems very odd.
well, I mean, Tal was just talking about how I guess because her runes aren't sealed, right? Was Tal the one that said that like magic is just like flowing into her and
That's
she
what
can't?
Adina said.
Oh, Adina said that. Okay. But yeah, that she like can't control it. So I feel like it's going to keep getting more and more extreme till she figures out what to do. I don't know.
Well, and obviously it came at a moment where she was like in distress or
Yeah.
high emotions of a moment, like that she couldn't control it or something.
Yeah.
I was worried she was about to burn all the alchemist books. And like, all of our answers are now gone. I was like,
Well, that
cool.
Could be where that section was. I don't know. All right. Chapter 15 is called Vorath. This is Kingfisher's POV. And I don't really know what to say about this chapter. I just had a lot of shouty, confused notes and lots of questions. So that's my blanket statement for this chapter. I'm confused.
I love that. I, on the other hand, wrote all my notes. So here we go. It says, again, Shaw glanced at me and flinched. I was wearing armor and he couldn't see that. I was glamored, but he was looking at me strangely for some other reason, and that had piqued my interest. So this is Kingfisher saying this about Vorath looking at him. And this is the second time it's happened. So it's like, does he know that he's Fae glamored or something? Is he just like sketchy of him because he's a person he doesn't know and doesn't trust? Or I don't know.
Carrion warned Kingfisher too when they got glamored. He was like, "You're still pale. Like everyone's going to notice." So it might be that. I mean, I'm not saying that he might not also recognize him, but he warned him that he was going to be seen, and he didn't do anything about it. So,
Or if he bears a resemblance to Fenrir.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
see, that's
like-
what I thought too.
Yeah.
And maybe he knows him somehow. Because even in my next highlight here was that Shaw was trying to convince them that he was all scared and stuff, and it said Shaw's pulse was lazy as it could be. It didn't spike at all as he pretended to panic again. So like something is up with this guy. And obviously he knows about this demon guy that he takes them to and all the stuff. So I don't know. I just have a lot of questions about him. But he does take them to this like clock tower, and he hands out small vials filled with glowing green substance that looked an awful lot like liquefied concentrated even light. And I was like, oh, glow sticks. They
There
are
it
having a
is.
rave. I know, it's cute.
I missed that.
In the clock tower. And then they see a Fae corpse, and like nobody questions that. Like, no one's like, hey, Vorath, why is there a skeleton here or whatever? And, like, obviously they notice that it has canines and that's Fae. But that was my first immediate, like, well, this is not going to go well. Cool. And then we get the note that says, the beast that was imprisoned here was using the trap like a spider's web, isn't it, Shaw? The beast is using it so that it can eat. And I just wrote in all caps, no, not a spider. No.
Well, and right after that, Fisher asks Vorath what the creature is. Arangoth, Noltik, Bresheth. It couldn't have been Morthil. Morthil had been trapped in the maze with me for the past century. Like this paragraph, just like these couple of paragraphs here, I'm reading through, and my kind of thought at the end of it was just, I was shaking my head. I was like, I'm sorry. Did we just portal into The Witcher? Like, what is this? What? Like having names. Like at first I thought he was like asking him which creature it is, but he's saying like names here. But still, this just gave me like a whole, like with the traps and the runes on the ground. And then he's asking about like creatures. I'm like, you gonna drink some potions next? Like, what are we doing here? What's going on?
play around a Gwent.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
Me either. But I'm sure the ones that are listening that do will get it.
Yes.
Well, my next note is that his holy name is Joshin, Lord of the Desert, King of the Dark Dream. And I'm like, you had all these real cool names and you picked Joshin to be the actual name. But okay, Callie, that's fine. I can pronounce that one.
This made me think of just joshing ya. So like I had to write that in here.
Just Joshin.
Just joshing.
He's just chilling in here. He's not going to get you.
Just a scorpion demon, just joshing.
Just Joshin. Oh, that's funny. But after hearing the name, Kingfisher does say scorpions, Carrion. That is the sound of a million effing scorpions. And I know that you're supposed to be terrified in that moment, but I just had a big sigh of relief. Okay, I can do scorpions, I think. It's not a spider.
Oh,
Hopefully we're fine.
Yeah.
hopefully.
And this is my like episode title, but I wrote, "What in the Quicksilver 2 Return of the Scorpion King hell is this?" This better not turn into the poor CGI equivalent of what happened in that movie in this book.
Is that the picture that you put in here, the actual CGI?
I put in a picture from Return of the Scorpion King of The Rock as the Scorpion King, and it's a still image of the actual CGI in that movie, and it's
rough.
It is terrible.
That looks like
terrible.
a really bad video game.
It's quite terrible.
It's notably known as one of the worst CGI movies of like all time.
Oh.
Yep. Pretty bad.
Looks like The Sims 2.
Yeah, it's rough.
The Sims 2 Scorpion King.
Return of the Scorpion.
Wow, they went a different direction with this one.
But yeah.
Interesting. Well, that is where we leave Kingfisher and Carrion in this chapter section. So that's super fun. But we do keep going into chapter 16 called The Blood, and this is Ceres's POV. And this is Algat saying he doesn't like the wind. It scatters him when he's transitioning from one form to the other. Because she's like complaining that the cat got out, Guru. But I'm like, okay, cool. So when he's transitioning from one form to the other, is that just talking about from the cat to the shadows? Or is the shadows when he transitions from the cat to something else? And it's not always a cat?
Oh.
Right? Because he's transitioning, and I would assume the shadows that we see is the transition into something else.
I don't know.
So now I'm skeptical that Guru is actually something else or someone else. And we're going to see that now that he's escaped.
A cat-based demon lord.
Maybe he's one of these other weird names.
Adis?
Cat Noir?
Oh my god.
It's Adrian
Nice.
Agreste. That's who it is.
Very similar guesses, yes.
Hope Amentreath has a lot of camembert sitting around.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was just loved this moment. This made me laugh so hard when Algat comes back and Ceres has Foley like tied up, and she's saying that she's gonna like keep him alive long enough to question him or whatever. And Algat says, "Then you'd better take that fabric out of his mouth, hadn't you? What did you stuff in there? Wait, are those my velvet gloves?" Not the velvet.
No, not again.
Always the velvet.
Also, Algat must be like kind of bougie, or maybe just super old lady of her to have velvet gloves in the library. Love that.
Maybe they're like
Love
to
that for her.
touch the fancy old books. You had to
Oh,
put like,
maybe.
those special gloves.
And Sarah just shoved him in this guy's mouth. Amazing. I love that she was like, it was the first thing I found. I don't know, what did you want me to do? But then Algat sets her jaw. So one final cheers of this chapter section.
One.
Welcome
Yeah,
to the
Ceres
drinking
also
game.
like swears to give those back, so maybe we get a shopping
Or maybe, yeah, make up
montage.
for it.
Maybe.
We get our first description of Foley, and it says his pupils are vertical like a snake's. So that's interesting, because none of the other Lupoprilia have that, and I don't feel like any of the other vampires have that.
No,
So-
and I think it referred to them as like cat eyes later too.
So is
Like the
he
cat-eyed
Guru?
male or something.
Did all of that happen at the same time? Were
A
those two in the
werecat.
same room together?
I don't know. Is this a Clark Kent situation?
Maybe. Took his glasses off and he turned into a cat.
Guru the platypus.
Exactly. Maybe though, maybe they are the same person. I don't know. But if Guru is actually another person, I would 1000% buy the theory that Onyx is some person as Onyx. Like right now, I'm still on the fence of like,
I see what you
is
mean.
Onyx an actual person or something, or is it just a fox? But I feel like if Guru is, and we have confirmed that that can happen in this world, I would be like 100% on Onyx. Just putting that out there for my own theories. But Ceres finally shows her godbound marks to Foley because he's like questioning the fact that she's mated to Kingfisher, and Algat says, "Stupid female, it's sacrilege to ink your skin with those kinds of marks." And I'm like, what? Why is that sacrilege?
Oh, because they're god bindings?
Yeah, I said I was just assuming that she thought Ceres got them tattooed and that they weren't legit god bindings, since that's supposed to be like a myth. So she's like, you're not supposed to put
But
those
doesn't
on
Taylena
yourself.
kind of do that?
Yes, but she
They
does.
just said it was like
Taylena-
taboo to add too much.
Well, and she explained too that they wait until they've been like married for 5 years or 10 years or something too, because it's such like a sacred thing to practice.
Also, though, like, whose religion? Because
Right.
didn't the other guy say they had different gods anyway?
Uh-huh.
So, like, why would you care if it's sacrilege against a religion that you don't follow?
Against a religion you don't sack.
Yeah, come on. I'll sack your religion.
Whoa.
But yeah, it is odd that she's like, oh, that's sacrilege. And, like, I mean, who knows what set of gods this librarian follows, but if it was true that guy was like, oh, we serve different gods, we being, I would think, the collective set of Amentreath,
Right.
that
Maybe it means something else in whatever their, I don't know, God's languages or something.
Well, and maybe she's referencing the Alchemarin runes. Like, maybe it has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the god bindings. Maybe it's the alchemist ones.
True.
Like, she goes to show her god bindings to Foley, but she's showing all of them. So,
Because wasn't it Malcolm that was like reading them to her? And he says there were other things, but he like didn't list them all.
True. Good point.
So we
I
don't
feel like
actually know what
Algat
they
would
say.
know.
Yeah.
Good point. Interesting. Okay, well, it ends with Lorith walking in and is talking about how Foley never like bound himself to the Amontraith court and whatever is going on there, and he fully says a wolf never becomes a leech. I was like, that's kind of a cool line for the Lupoprilia to have as a group, even though Foley obviously still became a vampire, but like I kind of like it.
And that was my comment here, though. Like, a wolf never becomes a leech. And I was like, but like, aren't you a vampire? Or is this, or like, is this an interview with a vampire type of thing where, you know, he's been feeding on reptiles, so that's why he has slits for eyes? Like, I don't know.
Yes. It's Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never just seems like a big word for you to use right now.
Yeah.
But I could see like the Lupoprilia before a fight or something, and it's like, put your hands in. A wolf never becomes a leech. And then they like,
Oh,
there to go. That's cool. That's a cool line. Maybe not to put your hands in and yell it, but I'm here for it.
We're all in this together.
He-Man Vampire Haters Club. No leeches allowed.
That's good. All right. Well, this chapter section ends with hello, Foley. And we finally meet him. I'm excited to talk with him next chapter
Yeah.
section. Give me some answers.
Let's get into our overall thoughts, characters, world building, favorite things, writing, etc. Lauren?
I love that we're back in Zilvarin, and I am loving the banter between Kingfisher and Carrion. Big fan. I am so intrigued to see the city through Carrion's eyes, since he has had a wildly different experience than whatever Saris has, both by the amount of time, but also by the amount of power that he actually has. So that will be really cool. I am very excited about scorpions and not spiders, hopefully. Hopefully. There is no way that Carrion dies, though. Like, right? I think that's just like not a thing. Right?
I mean,
so like,
no, it's definitely not
probably
going to
be okay.
happen. He's totally going to be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll totally be okay. Keep those fingers crossed for a whole week. I'm interested in what Foley knows about the alchemists and the books that were in the library, but I am very annoyed at Saris for seeming to have already forgot about Adina's book and has like put it on the back burner. Like, girl, that seemed very important. Like, she literally waited a bajillion years to tell you specifically that, but okay. And then I want to trust Tal so much, but I just don't think I can fully right now. I don't know. He's just doing some shady stuff, and Saris is just like giving him like literally everything, and so it's just setting up for some big betrayal later. I want to love him, but I'm keeping my guard up.
Yeah.
What you got, Kyle?
Oh, I am hoping we get to see a lot more of Zilvarin, and not just like it's a quick little day trip for the boys. Like, once they're done with whatever they're stuck in, I hope it's not just like, all right, well, let's get back. Because I'm sort of also hoping to learn more about the demon lords. That's what they were called, right? The demon lords that are so far based on arachnids, which is interesting. I don't really trust anyone at this point because they all be acting crazy suspicious about everything. No one has been upfront or clear with anything they've said. So no trust to anyone right now.
What a Fae thing to do.
Yeah. On board with basically what we're thinking of Tal. Don't trust him. I think he's playing everybody. I feel like Callie is writing Carrion's whole like ignorance of basically everything a bit heavy for her to throw in a sudden switcheroo where he's like, just kidding. I knew about all this stuff the entire time. And I just like decided not to talk about any of it or tell you. So maybe he just like truly must not know like anything, even though he seems to read a lot. I still think Saris is going to end up on the bad side. No sign of niggling or none the worse for wear, thank goodness. Spicy scene, absolutely 0 notes, ma'am. 10 out of 10. Very good. With all that said, this chapter section lost me. And it's going to take a little bit of redemption to get me back into the story. Like, the whole new feeder and the weird, like, rock contamination thing that's somehow indestructible. Saris just randomly disappearing things. Her hands and arms like split like an overcooked hot dog, and then the scene straight out of The Witcher. Like, everything seems so random to me right now, and it's just like it's really taken me out of the story. I don't know what I was expecting coming from Quicksilver to here, but like it's just, for me, what we've read so far in this book, I don't know why it's just not tracking for me and making any sense from the first book.
Do you think it's because the first time you were like reading it for the second time on podcast, so like you got to read Quicksilver just straight through as quickly as you wanted to, but for Brimstone, we're making you wait week by week?
Well, I mean,
is that
I
some
feel
of it?
I feel like there's always going to be a little of that because you're waiting to get to learn the next thing and waiting to learn the next thing again, and you're just continuing on. But it's like it's like so heavy on the Quicksilver itself and like what it is and what she can do with it. We've gotten a little bit of the communication between her and the Quicksilver so far, but it's been very little. And I feel like it was such a big thing in the first book that now her being an alchemist seems even further away than a secondary plot point in this book. So it's like, okay, why did we build that up so hard? Especially when we were talking about last episode. Hey, she just made some relics in like 0.2 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah.
It's like, oh, she can just do it now. And it's like, hold on. She was literally spending so much time. I'm a little disconnected from things.
I feel like the POV jumping in any book gets to me. So that is a little jarring here where I'm like, okay, we got like 3 different stories going on and I'm having to track all of them, but
That's true.
that happens in all books, but it does get a little wearisome to me sometimes.
Yeah, that's very true. I also think it kind of makes sense for where we're at in the book because we're only at 30%, but also just in the trilogy as a whole. Like book 2, she has to be expanding the world a lot more so that there can be like a big, overall arc and like resolution of the storyline by the end of book 3. So I think there has to be a lot of setup in this book. And I think that's why the second book in a trilogy is typically the hardest. Like that it tends to have little dips or just like, I don't know. It's what do they call it? Second book syndrome. It's just like the first book tries to grab your attention and then the second book you're like, okay, wait. But I do think it makes sense. I think there's just so much. She just set up so much at one time and we have no context or answers for like any of it right now at this like exact stopping point. So that's like my only thoughts that I had written here were just like, girl, I don't know where this book is going anymore. There's so many things happening right now.
Going with Kyle's thing about the POVs changing, when Saris made all of those relics, was it in her POV that we got that information? Because it would make sense if one of the other guys was like, oh yeah, Saris just went away and made us some relics and then came back. But like the other book in Quicksilver, we were only Saris's POV. So we got all of those interactions every single time she talked to the Quicksilver or whatever. So it could be some of that too for that specific moment.
Well, it wasn't something we got a description of in real time. It was just like it jumped to the next chapter and it was like, here's what we did. And she made these.
Yeah.
You also get sometimes in books in general, the whole like unreliable narrator. And with so many different POVs, they could all be unreliable. So it's also like, I don't even know, like we're in different people's heads, how much information they know that I don't even know if I'm getting the right information, much less the complete information. So it's harder to piece together for sure. But speaking on piecing it together and knowing where this book is going, what are our theories? Starting with John.
All right. I have one small theory here, and this is with Tal and him wanting to do the whole like disavow and like break the bond with Saris. I think going in line with how like we're not trusting him right now, I think he's doing this because he not only tethered by the law, but the bond in some way. And he won't be able to like, I guess, betray her or something. Maybe not betray. Maybe if there's a long goal that he has, he can't have this type of bond or relationship with her to do what he needs to do. So that's why he needs to kind of break that bond.
Sure.
I could see that.
Maybe.
Well, one person we haven't talked this entire episode is Eric. And that is Carrion's business partner. Like, I don't know if that means, like, is this person important? Like, we hear about him, but we never like actually see him.
Mm-hmm.
Is he just some random human that's weirdly mixed up in all of this? Is he some bigger player? But he only has a first name, so maybe that means he's not. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what will happen there. We knew it wouldn't be so simple just going in and out of Zilvarin. So I'm not surprised that we've run into some trouble, but hopefully this like scorpion thing won't keep them from their 3-day timeline thing, which now I'm even questioning the 3-day timeline thing because of what Con said earlier about the time differences. So maybe that theory is just, I don't even know. But like, I have no idea what Saris would do if they missed that. Like, if they missed that 3 days, is she just going to do it every 3 days? Or is it just like, she can't just keep opening it? Because then, especially not consistently, because then Madra would know and prepare or something. Like, I don't know. I just feel it. I don't know what would happen there. So there's that. I'm really interested to know who set up these runes, though, or trapped this like demon lord person in this clock tower specifically. How long has it been there? Just no one in Zilvarin has known this entire time that this demon creature thing is just living in the clock tower. Like, we've all just lived our ignorant lives about that. Like, that is wild to me. And then I guess I just hope that Foley is able to help Saris bind her runes and that can get solved rather quickly, because it seems to be a big issue. But also because I want Saris to actually focus on things like Adina's book and learning her own magic. And that kind of stuff. So I would like this like binding thing of the runes to just be done. I'm gonna manifest that in my theories.
I have a feeling that's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Cool. Can't wait.
Hopefully we'll find out soon. Okay, so I didn't have a lot of thoughts or theories like when I first finished this chapter section, because I was like, I needed some time to process. Now though, I'm thinking about last week how John was saying that he thought maybe the Hazrax could be a god. In the library, Saris ends up giving exactly 7 drops of her blood to Guru, and 7 is like the number that's associated with the gods, and now Guru has escaped. So I am also maybe thinking that if something like the Hazrax could be a god that's just like chilling within the realm, that maybe, first of all, maybe that's where Zareth banished all the gods to. Like, maybe they're just trapped in some other form, like in this realm. And then potentially Guru could be one of them. And there is a god of shadows named Styx. And so that would be maybe my theory tied to that. And that the Hazrax could potentially be, I think it's Kurin is the god of secrets. And then Nichanai is the god of masks. So I don't know. I just think that's interesting. But also apparently everybody has, I don't know, a bunch of gods now, and there's also demons, and there's just a lot happening. Carrion has to be fine. I simply reject all other possible realities. I just don't know how he's going to get out of this current predicament unless it's something where like his blood saves him again. I was also wrong about Vorath. LOL. But I don't know why he would be doing this after all this time. If Vorath has known Carrion and they've had this like standing relationship before he left Zilvarin. So I was thinking maybe Vorath suspected that Carrion was Fae, but didn't know for sure until he saw Fisher with him. Because otherwise, like, he could have done this at any time, right? He could have taken Carrion up to this clock tower. Maybe Eric is actually Finrin if he seems to know all this random crap and like stayed close to Carrion during this time period of his life. Or maybe Finrin was the one who originally trapped Joshin, and he's about to be pissed when they accidentally let Joshin out in the next chapter. That was my next thought.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I also had some Hazrax related things. I sort of just feel like they were suspiciously gone during all of this, but surely watching from somewhere. I feel like at one point they're just going to come in and be like, I've seen everything that's gone down, you know? I feel like this whole book is just going to be a battle of countered moves from the good quote-unquote guys and the bad quote-unquote guys. Like how Saris just made these god swords, and now all of a sudden, there's feeders who, that doesn't really matter anymore. And she's going to have to come up with something new to counter that. And then once she does, they're going to be like, oh, well, guess what? Now we have this. And it's just going to be like a big constant back and forth throughout this book, I think. Which I don't know if I'm totally excited for, but we'll see, I guess. A lot of little things, of course, that will have greater meaning, like the parchment larks in the library, are surely not just some random origami artist magician that happened to make and breed a larger self-sustaining ecosystem of them. And everyone's just like, yeah, some guy folded a bird and now there's lots of birds. I feel like they're going to have a bigger part to play than just that.
Makes sense.
But yeah, that's about it for my theories.
All right.
Nice. Well, that takes us to the cry counter. And for the second episode, we have not cried. which is just one of those things that it's just building the suspense, and meaning we will be more and more wrecked in the future. So
Maybe.
can't wait.
Yeah.
But that wraps up episode 8. Next episode will cover chapters 17 to 24, and you can find our full episode schedule, as always, pinned on our Instagram if you'd like to read along with us. If you've already blitzed through the whole book, then you're miles ahead of us and already know all that is and is to come. We don't, and we like to keep it that way. So please, no spoilers, especially not in our DMs. We do have a Discord channel set up for both spoiler-free discussion that matches our reading pace and full series spoiler chats where you could scream freely. You can join us through Patreon to react with us or to react at us, safely out of sight of any who may not have read as far as you. And now, a freestyle rap from John about our socials.
Now you're just gonna have to keep it in every week.
It's gonna
Can you do it on
work
the last
someday.
episode? Like,
Oh.
write it.
Oh my god. Anyway, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Between Pages and Friends. Check out our website, betweenpagesandfriends.com, for merch, events, and to sign up for our newsletter to keep up with all things happening at BPNF. Until next time, stay wordy, stay nerdy, don't stress, and to stay blessed.
Bye. Okay, see you.
Bye. See you later. Go to Wendy's.
Spend your
Sponsor
fortune.
us, Wendy's.
Get that Baconator.